or co-hosting in this case, not actually following anything what anyone's saying. Oh, by the way, as soon as we go online, please, I'm gonna make a short message to say that people shouldn't message me about coming on the show because it's a bit distracting, and B, I don't have any power. So
okay, I think it's back up.
The maximum amount of people in this group, so we can't get any more people on the show.
Yeah, it's back up. It's back up.
There we go.
Can you hear us?
Oh, brilliant!
Yes. Okay.
It is back up.
We're back.
We're back.
Hello, people.
We're back. It's back. It's back. Hey, it's back.
We do be back.
The lobster's back.
Don't worry, we're not dead.
Let's hope this is the
Hello,
last.
everyone.
Let's hope that
I
this
have
is
wondered.
the last.
This is very off topic, but I have wondered since Brits are the lobsters. What are the Germans then? Are we I don't know, horses? What's a typically German animal?
I don't know what.
We're the lobsters because of the red coats that we wore. So I'm wondering if there is some sort of an historical slur regarding the Prussian uniforms. I will Google that while the stream continues, and I'll get back to you.
I mean, if you ask the French perspective, you're pigs, but you know. Yes, that's like it's the national cliche. It's the national cliche. It was a thing during the First World War.
Don't inflate the French-German tensions.
Let's not carry over 15th century European petty squabbles into the podcast. Okay.
No, I mean it's more kind of like 70 years ago petty squabbles, but
true.
It's more like still pretty much every day in Brussels petty squabble, but sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, okay, let's leave our animals.
You're actually on the live stream and people can hear you.
Yes. Okay.
Of course they can. Hello, everyone.
We wanted to hear some opinions from people from District 4.
Our show mentioned, by the way, we just.
Yeah. So, Alex.
Views on District 4. We were looking for that.
Yes, Alex. You had something you wanted to say.
Yeah. I have a lot. I don't have a lot to say. I have something I would like to say. This is the first time that I have voted for. This is the first time that I have voted for a Libertarian candidate in this election or any election in BC, to be a matter of fact. I have almost always voted for, especially in party members, again, with party lines. And now I have found that it was left in the position that I had no one that I really liked besides Smith. I knew Smith well personally, but that's besides the point. The point that I have to say is that I think that he did great legislation. I liked his views, and I couldn't see myself voting for Darby because he was new, and I voted for new people before, but he was doing some things that I didn't respect in a candidate and that I didn't want to see in that seat. So I'm happy to see that Smith is leading, and I'm also not surprised, because I think I'm not the only one that wasn't going to vote for Darby. So I knew it was probably going to be between candidate Smith and candidate Justice. But I'm happy to see that Smith's in the lead, and I'm hoping that he continues to win.
Yeah, I mean, McKenna, our Hun friend, how do you think D4 is gonna roll out?
I think I do have to agree that it's looking really good for Smith. I mean, I personally really like Smith, and I think a lot of people agree. He's an extremely popular member, one of the most prominent ones of the Libertarian Party for sure. And I think having on the left two candidates running, Mr. Justice who I'm also had some good interactions with, not going to say otherwise. We do share similar media interests. Or Mr. Darby, who's a new member, who's been quite prominent, I'd say, in his time here. But I think both the experience and the popularity factor and name recognition, as has been previously mentioned, is definitely on the side of Smith here. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up winning at the end.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always good to hear from a Jerry, from a Kraut, about what they think.
Who are you then, sir?
Who am I?
Yes, if I'm a Jerry.
Well, I mean, you've got to find your own.
He's a lobster bag.
Yeah, I'm a lobster bag. Find your own insult. Yeah, I think.
I don't insult you. I like you, so you know.
Yeah,
on D4, there's actually a joke to be made, because I'm pretty sure Darby's going to be in the Senate before his Bill HR 20 passes the House.
I mean, I haven't had a look at HR 20. Would you be able to? I mean, if not for the viewers, but also for the people who will be listening in the future, I imagine when HR 20 is still in the House.
Yeah, I think Corey can speak about that.
Yeah, would you be able to update us as to what HR 20 is?
Okay, so HR 20 was a comprehensive look at sexual abuse. It was a bill written by Congressman Darby.
Mm-hmm.
It's been in committee for quite a while now. It has aimed to change some of the punishments and policies around the way that we deal with sexual abuse, rape, and some of the other things of that nature. So, unfortunately, the bill had a couple of major problems. First of all, it was incredibly vague, and it was very difficult to tell what exactly it was hoping to accomplish. Second of all, it was changing the U.S. code in order to actually implement the changes in what quantifies as a crime, as many of these kinds of bills do. But it failed to replace the US code in a way that would have actually been a viable way to prosecute people for committing crimes. So that was, of course, a major issue. And then lastly, there was also an issue of setting prison limits for various crimes that could be committed pertinent to sexual abuse. Mainly that, according to the U.S. Code Part 2241, which this bill also amended, you could be liable for up to 2 years of jail time for being convicted of a certain kind of sexually suggestive remark, which I think most can agree that although those kinds of remarks should be considered unacceptable, it's not something that we would send someone to prison for 2 years for. We tried several times to amend it unsuccessfully in the Judiciary Committee. Me and Chairwoman Amidala and a few others, Minority Leader Broadman, we tried to implement some fixes. It has still not been rewritten to a place where it's actually something I think people would be satisfied with it passing, even though we've gutted and rewritten, like, I would say, most of the major parts of the bill. So there are a lot of people I think feel that it might never get passed because we're just going to keep ping-ponging it between the floor and committee. So Barton makes the joke that Darby will be in the Senate before HR 20 becomes law. And the way it stands now, that is very possible.
I would agree with that. As a fellow member of the Judiciary Committee, I've seen and participated to some extent, definitely in trying very hard to make it work, but there are some issues that seem to be very hard to fix.
Yes. I'd completely agree with you. I mean, yeah, from what you've said, I'd completely agree with you. Just as a quick update, have we had a second update from District 3 yet? I can't remember.
I do not believe so, but
yes, you had.
We had. So you know that with I'll just bring it up just in case we haven't done it. With 76% reporting, Lee is at 54. Yes, because he dropped. I remember saying that. Okay.
Yes.
So then we're going to move on to District 2, and I think this is something we could all have predicted here. With 100% reporting in District 2. It is 73 to Leah and 26 to her opponent, Galt.
Oof.
So
congratulations
really,
to elect Leland.
Yeah, really a I mean, what a landslide. There we go. That's the word. Really a real landslide there. What do you guys think about this? What are your guys' thoughts on
congratulations to former president and now Senator-elect Layla. I think we're all very hopeful for what she can bring to the Senate.
I would have to say that with a 73% mandate, she seems to have a lot of confidence from her district, and I wish the senator-elect good luck in her upcoming term, and I hope she will fight for her constituency as she has in the past.
I'm pretty sure that's the largest margin of victory in D2 if you don't count uncontested elections in pretty much forever.
Yeah, I mean, D2's always been a kind of one where the results are really quite close. So it's quite surprising to see. Why do you think then? Why do you think the result has been this way this time?
I think there's a big part of simulated elections that's playing strongly in Layla's favor.
Would you say that?
And then I think I just believe, and I was not on their side of the whipping game, so I can't say really for sure. But I just think that the Libertarians and maybe the GOP did not put any major effort in actually whipping in D2. At least that's what the results seems to say.
It is an interesting thing because I assume a lot of whipping teams do prioritize depending on what they think in which race a lot of whipping might make a major impact. So maybe seeing a candidate like Layla who has quite the record coming up, maybe this race was not prioritized by the whipping in support of Galt as the candidate.
I mean, it's an interesting thing to bring up, really. If it is the new system that's done this and led to this, would you think that the system may be too much of a hindrance to newer members with less experience?
Well, I mean, for Mr. Galt, it has been brought up, for example, that as a criticism of him that he hasn't been as active as he could have been, which is not necessarily a trait that is connected to being new or not. You see a lot of newer members being very active, very engaged. Yeah. So I think maybe inactivity is more the point than just longevity on the server.
Plus, I think it's also a good thing, but in a way, the result make it somewhat clear that you don't get to jump in the server and be a senator at the next election cycle unless for some reason you are very dedicated and you put lots of efforts into it. I mean, that doesn't happen in real life. People running for just happening to become senator out of nowhere. And there's no reason for that to happen on VC.
I'd completely agree with you. Yes. I think, I mean, has anybody got anything else they wish to say? Yeah.
Well, just briefly that I think as VC is reaching nearing a year of existence, I think experience has continuously shown to become a larger and larger part. So where in the early elections you'd see candidates who'd only been on the server for a few weeks, sometimes even winning the nomination of their party. But I believe as time goes on, we will likely see even more of a premium being placed on a record to really show a candidate's worth.
Definitely. And I think going forwards that looking towards endorsements is going to be something that we see being more and more important, trying to gather these endorsements. I myself didn't endorse this election, but I know and I have been told by Sis that my endorsement is a rather powerful one.
So what might have been, I did not endorse either.
Yes, yeah. Because they stack. So if you've been president twice or vice president twice or a justice or whatever, they stack. So I think going forwards, we're going to start seeing some very powerful endorsements popping up. And I think people are really going to be starting to court those endorsements, because I mean they can really make a change. Yeah.
Oh, maybe you should be like, hey, do stuff for GHN and you get my endorsement.
I would never act in such an unethical way.
Grease the wheels.
I would never act in such an unethical way. I'm Mr. Ethics, you must know.
I mean, sorry, Cisco. Yeah,
I wasn't talking, but you're more than welcome to.
Because what I was, thinking at the moment is that I think moving forward, we also need to think of a way to make sure that the system, the simulated part, doesn't end up, rigging the game in a sense in favor of people who've been here forever or for a long time. And I think it's also important. I said before, we don't want people jumping into the server and running for Senate 2 days later, but we don't we also don't want people joining the server and waiting 4 or 5 months before they actually get a shot, at being elected to a position. So I think, we're also going to have to think of a way to balance the system to make sure it doesn't hinder new candidates.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And, I'll say the FEC hasn't released the official breakdown for a few reasons, one of which is so people can't try to just game the simulated component. I will say a majority of the simulated component is based off factors people can control during the election. So if you're hitting all those boxes, you very easily could do better than someone that's banking on that they've been here for a while or whatnot.
So I'm just going to give us another quick update, and then I want to get back onto the idea of simulated elections in just a second. But with 80% here, we've got an update from the presidential election. Lilburn has retaken the lead with 53%, 53.7 to Lucas's 46.3, but it's still all to play for there with 80%. 20% could swing it either way. Yeah.
Well, this is a very interesting. This race is definitely a very volatile race, and as we've seen, I think we could be having a win, but let's see Lucas take the lead in those final 20% of presets that have not yet reported. And honestly, I think it's too close to call still.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, one of the if Lucas gets 55% of the remaining votes, he can take the lead.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, obviously, I'm very happy with the lead, but I am still quite nervous that it's not actually. It's still not that many points in it. There's still, what is that? 6 points, 7 points?
Yeah.
So there's still. I'm still not particularly comfortable in my position here.
It is interesting though that from one step to the other, Lucas went from 51 to 46. So this is definitely still ping-ponging back and forth in a way.
Yes.
Ping pong. Bouncy seat. Yeah, I think it's. I'm going to keep repeating that now until it's a coined thing.
The presidential seat is bouncy, apparently.
It's a bouncy seat. I mean, I've sat on it twice. So
I also sat on it. Don't forget. I mean, we currently have 3 current or former presidents in this chat. So I mean, what's the true bias here?
I think the real question is how many next presidents you have on the chat.
Cotton, something you want to tell us?
No, I was thinking about Lilburn at the moment, but sure.
I think I think if you get enough bias, they balance each other out. I think that's something we've learned today on GHN, is if you get enough bias, and if you gaslight the president enough, and say that they hate the Republican Party, which obviously they do. You are able to balance out the bias. What's your view on that, Communist Ian?
Well, Communist Ian. That's a little bit of a stretch.
It is, isn't it? I was going to say irregular, Ian, but I thought that's a bit mean.
I mean, be glad that we don't have libel laws yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I mean, the idea of bias has come up a few times in this election. What's everybody's view on that? On especially when it comes like there's been a case, or some people have been thinking about putting a case against the FEC, and there's been people saying there's been corruption charges going around. What do you think about all that?
Well, it's definitely very interesting that all of these allegations have arisen in the simmed elections, which is partially coincidence, but I think it also has something to do that it's a very new system with all the simulated components, and it could leave more margin for error. I don't know if anyone made any errors, but I think it could leave more openings to be like, this isn't good.
Right, because like now you
I
have.
mean-
I mean, yeah.
Go on,
Well,
just Ian.
it depends on like what can be measured as like as like fact. Like, you know, it's very easy to see from like the amount of advertisements are put out, right? Like some people's campaigns are definitely there's it's definitely better quantity, right? But I don't know. I trust the FEC. I trust it to be impartial. I think I do.
Thanks.
Well,
Yeah, that's appreciated. I mean, yeah.
It's
So,
this is so.
I mean, the FEC, has multiple members from more than just one party. I mean, I work to, when I'm scoring the sim components, to look at them, as I said, objectively, looking at the key things. And I mean, an interesting note is, for the most part, the FEC members who were not all of one party agreed or were relatively close to each other with scoring, which was nice. And another interesting note with this election too is the sim component hasn't actually changed any of the election results. It's skewed them to either be closer or further apart. But in this election, there were no races that were the outcome was changed because of the sim component.
Well, thank you.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Slimy Sis. But what do you think? What do you think, Infermian, about what Sis has said?
Oh, yeah.
See, I think you really are Infermian.
Oh Lord.
Well,
yeah. That's definitely interesting to see how only 25%. It only counts for like 25% right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other 75% is left up to the actual popular vote.
So do you think that margin should be changed at all, Ian? Do you think it should be more simulated or less simulated? Or do you think it's just right, like Goldilocks?
Especially with like the popular vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
Popular vote is basically just living, right? That's all you need to do to win. So I think under the right, guidelines and having more of an objective part to it, right? That's definitely going to be better for the sim. That's definitely going to be better for taking away from the whipping aspect and putting it more towards members that are proven, members that are active, members that have experience.
I mean, for example, you've got the debates that take place, right?
Right.
Would you be in support? And this is just something I've come up with off the I've come up with off the top of my head. Would you be in support of having after these having a vote which was run by the FEC, but it's a poll really. It's like a who won kind of poll, which had it, and that would have a bearing on the way the election came out in the end. What would be your thoughts on that?
Well,
like to try and kill off the objectivity of it. No, sorry, the subjective. Whatever. Yeah, you get what I mean.
Yeah, but again, right? If you're just going to do a poll of that, to what extent does that like become another election in itself. Right? At what point are going to start whipping for people to say that, oh, candidate A won this instead of candidate B?
I mean, so I would agree with Ian, because even it's interesting because I mean, there's people that have said XYZ's platform or ads are better, and it's very clearly tied to their ideological beliefs. So I mean, I'd agree that I think if you start putting out a vote for that, most people aren't going to actually I mean, there's also no real incentive to be kind of honest or actually evaluate them. If you're like, oh, who do you think won? You know, if you prefer X candidate, I don't know why you'd say, oh, Y candidate won. I mean, it's kind of counterintuitive there, I think. But I mean, it will be interesting to see.
Well, I would just.
I think what the president said about it being a whipping contest, I think that's really just a reflection of the fact that a large portion of the electorate really is inactives.
Yeah.
That people who are not usually the most participatory in the actual community, as you can see with usually how many people vote in elections. Like, we've crossed 100 voters a lot of times by now, and I doubt that there are 100 people who really are engaging on a daily basis or even very regularly with the content of VC beyond presidential elections. So it would be interesting to see if, let's say hypothetically, the electorate were to swing towards more active members, if then whipping would lose some of its effectivity, because a member who has an idea of, for example, the candidates running might be less easily swayed based just on whipping. So it's certainly something interesting to consider. But at the moment, we're of course dealing with how VC is, not how we want it to be. So I think having the sim component is very vital at this point.
I am just going to cut in here. We do have another result coming in with a 100% reporting in Sneaky Schlorp and Aimless Amidala's seat of D1. So here is their final tally. It is 55%, or 55.7 to be precise, to Schlorp, and then 44.2 to Aimless Amidala, which means Amidala is aimlessly walking home, unfortunately. I must say that was quite disrespectful of me, but no, that was. I do apologise. But I think this seat's bounced around a little bit this election. It went from Schlorp went from 41 to 49 to 55, so he's been gaining all day, and Amidala's been losing by the same margin all day. So how do you think this is? I mean, this is Ian. You predicted this earlier. Why did you make this prediction, idiotic Ian?
Well, apart from being not idiotic this time, at least, I still think Schlorp is still very much liked member by a lot of all the parties, right? I guess even if Amidala is more of the left candidate here, you know, Schlorp has been in this community for a long time, and he has a lot of experience to show for it, right? One of his platform for this election, right, which was actually taken from his presidential election, I think definitely exceeded. Like, I think he definitely exceeded in the sim component as well, especially with advertisements. He's just, I think he's just more present in the sim aspect. Yeah, and like what Sis said, right? The actual winner wasn't swayed too much by the campaign component, right? So he's definitely still fairly popular, vote wise.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I'd agree with you there. I think I don't know what to really say. I think he's maintained his seat, but not by much this time. Only by 5%.
Oh yeah, but he definitely still got that gain, right? Because
Oh yeah. I mean, do you think
between Schwartz and Berry, it went 50-50. It was a coin flip, and now he's going to be, or like he still is, like the longest continuously serving incumbent senator, which is interesting to see what he's going to do after his term ends in 2 months.
Do you think
are we going to see that potential? You know,
do you think that
there's so many possibilities? Sorry,
it's okay. Do you think that in a election with maybe a more experienced candidate, or a candidate who had a bit more support from their own party, or had I don't know, a different candidate, right? Somebody who was a bit more well known and was a bit more active on the whipping side, or not just the whipping side, but also just the general campaigning side. So I mean the gathering endorsements, writing a platform. Do you think that they would have been able to narrow that margin even further? Do you think that Schlopp could be looking at a loss today if he would have gone against a candidate that was a bit more on the ball with the campaigning?
Yeah, sure. Generally speaking, yeah, I see that. Wait, McKenna, you're in District 1, right?
Yes.
Were you ever contemplating running for Senate?
I mean, at this point, what position? I have sort of a policy of not necessarily going up against incumbents if I can influence that. And also, I'm very busy in the party at the moment, so I wouldn't want to, give my district less than they deserve, because District 1 is, of course, the best district. So we truly do deserve the best senators.
Yeah, I think there was some buffering there. So I think the stream is being a bit shaky. If we do just cut out randomly, we will definitely be back straight afterwards, after the cutout. But I don't think I hope it's not gaty. Yeah, I think
there's a thing to mention, because we haven't said it, but the Schlopp win in District 5 is officially the end of any chance for a pure left-wing coalition to take a majority, or at least tie in the Senate. Which means that if Lilburn does win, he's probably going to have to work with a right-wing Senate at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that is an issue he's going to. Actually, it'd be more of an issue for his vice president than for him himself. I think trying to. I mean, I don't know,
and especially with Lilburn getting his ideas and legislation passed, because there's definitely, and we don't even know what's going to happen in the House. We haven't heard. Is a speaker election tomorrow, Sis, or is it on the 13th?
I think it's on the 12th.
Isn't it usually the 13th?
Oh, it's 13th.
No, isn't it the 12th usually? And 13th is the start of a new session.
Or does it usually start on the 12th?
Yeah, I think so.
We usually count the votes on the 12th and then elect the speaker on the 13th, I think.
Yeah, the new session starts on the 13th, yeah. So.
Oh. Yeah, so.
But I mean, judging by the mess it's been with the speakership last month, I would suggest starting the election for speaker tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, I think we've got another result sliding its way across my desk and onto your screens, because it slithers like that. Here is our final result in D3. District 3 reporting 100%, 61% for Lee, 38% for the socialist candidate, whose name is Mitchell. There we go. So yeah, Lee's taken the seat. The Democrats have a seat for the first time. First time they've won in a proper election, I think, for quite a while. For coming up on 2 elections now, I think.
You mean in District 3?
Yeah, District 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, in general, I don't think a Democrat has won a proper general election seat.
Yeah, general election.
Quite a while.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of special elections, but no, this is really interesting to see another relatively wide margin.
Right.
Seems that Lee was able to forge a successful coalition to win the seat.
Hashtag lobster. My lobster brother.
I mean, I'd say at the end of the day, when you run a dino as the Democratic candidate in such a district at District 3, and there's no one running on the right, but I mean, the result was pretty much clearly laid out for everyone from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if, let's say, it could have also gone very differently, let's say, depending on who's running, of course, because a lot of what elections are about are the letters next to people's names, but we can't forget that there's still a first or a last name, before that letter. So, I mean, our very own Hull has run in that district multiple times, and he was not handed a win.
No, one time I ran, I got no votes. I didn't even vote for myself.
So
yeah, but I mean, Hull never ran as the most right-wing candidate in the election.
Well, have we even gotten a straight answer from Lee as to what caucus he's gonna constitute?
He
said multiple times that he will caucus with the left. Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. Because, like Harton said, Lee, in my eyes, still leans a little right, especially being a former Republican, former Libertarian. He was the Speaker of the House for the Republicans as well. But that'll be interesting to see, especially if Lee does leave in the middle term. Perhaps what would happen in the special? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just another Lee leaving stereo. All right.
Lee.
Well, I mean, at the second, of course, he can be quite happy having won this election, and for the stability of the country, we do hope that he does, as he has promised, serve out his term.
I also think for the stability of the country, hope he doesn't follow his former form of gaining a position and then resigning about 3 days later.
Yeah, indeed.
Right. This session is the most unproductive session by far. So that's just
it
really
hurts
me.
Well, we can always stay optimistic. That's my view on this. I hope every new and old senator will try to make the next session more productive and just more open to their constituencies.
Okay. I think we've got a D5 result here. One all sent in. I know, we're really charging through them at the moment. We got the vote counters there, their fingers are bleeding with the amount of paper cuts they have from counting the ballots. So here is D5 100% reporting Morales 52.5, Sov 23, and also the other one, whose name is Smith, with 23 as well. So it really does seem here that the Steve. They both start with S's. I've been getting them mixed up all day when I've been writing them down. It does seem, as much as the vote has been split on the right here, even though Sov is a left-leaning libertarian, that Morales has taken this comfortably.
I must say, I am quite kudos to Morales to actually gaining a proper majority on this. 52% in a 3-person race. Seems like he's granted a full term after winning the special election. Mm-hmm. So hope he makes good use of that. Yeah,
definitely.
I thought it was going to be closer on Morales' victory here. But yeah, that's it's nice to see him winning by a majority.
Yeah, just Just give me a second.
Do we have anyone from District 5 on with us? Do you want to speak on this?
Oh, Karkin's here too.
Oh, yeah. So, Carlton, what is your view on these results? Are you happy? Are you not happy?
Well, from purely partisan perspective, of course, I'm happy. But then again, I think I said before, and I stand by it. But this is an election that's deeply marked by partisanship and a clear left-right divide. And I really think that, Sov on the paper could have gotten more votes from the left, but there was simply no room for that to happen in this cycle. And it means that the division between the left and the right ended up costing them what could have been an actual chance at the seat. It's going to be the second term for Morales, and if I'm correct, the first, full term for him. So I'm actually curious to see how it's going to go, because let's be quite frank, I don't recall him being very active in his first half term in the Senate. So I'm curious to see if he's going to try and build on the very clear mandate he got this time around. But, I'd also point that at the end of the day, 52.5 to a total of 47.5 for the right. It's pure D5 tradition. It's an election that's very close at the end of the day when it comes to pure political blocks. So it's good to see that my home district doesn't change that much in this sense.
Well, yes, as another District 5 member, from a partisan perspective, of course, I'm happy that Morales managed to gain re-election. I believe that his ratings were pretty high in his first half term. I'm not sure how active he was, but I think this is a good showing that he was approved of enough not only to win, but also to win by a majority in the 3-candidate race, which is frankly quite impressive in my opinion, to receive such a majority in a 3-candidate race.
Definitely. Now, Limey Lilburn, what do you think about D5?
I think it's a very interesting result. I don't have too much of an opinion on it, to be perfectly honest. But yeah,
Okay.
It's interesting to see such a wide margin.
Yeah. So I think we will move on. We're going through these last results really rather quickly. District 4, 100% reporting. And no one's won. No, I'm messing. It's Smith. Smith's won with 54% of the vote to 29 from Justice and 15 from Derby, meaning that the Libertarians have gained another seat in the Senate. Meaning
They could have seen that.
I think it's 4 seats. No, the Libertarians have.
Yeah,
Truly.
and I mean, of note, just which is interesting. I mean, Smith won with an outright majority.
Yeah, there've been some mentions on Twitter. So interestingly,
even a united, potentially a united left front could have won, but there's no guarantee. I mean, also D4 is kind of notoriously right-leaning.
Yeah.
D4 is actually keeping its status as the most right-leaning district in the whole server. But at the end of the day, if you remember, like special election in D4 where Cage got elected, I think that was like June or something. You can see that there used to be a 3/3 system, with a 1/3 block for the left, 1/3 block for around Libertarians, and 1/3 block around the GOP, and that margin's been reduced to 54 to 46 at the moment. So in a sense, it shows that there's a progression for the left in District 4, just not enough at the moment, even united to actually edge out a win.
Still, I think this is a reasonably comfortable show of confidence in Smith in a 3-person race to also gain an even larger plurality, actually, majority than Morales did in District 5. So it seems that we would have heard from a Smith voter earlier in the program. So he managed to pull through.
Another majority win a 3-person race, which is quite a strong showing of support for Mr. Smith, and it shows that the people of District 4 have approved of him in his past term.
Seems like we are at the situation where all 3 incumbents have won re-election. Apologies.
I mean, I actually disagree with the idea that that's a strong show of support for Smith, because then again, it's still the most right-leaning district in.
It seems Cartone has left us.
You'll probably glitch it out.
Yeah, I'm assuming he glitched out. As while he was leaving, we heard a very nice
statement there, right? District 4 is still notoriously right-leaning, right? But yeah, I'm happy to see Smith re-elected, and Carton's back.
Carton.
Hi, Carton. I mean, how many seats do the Libertarians have now? Then it's
5, right?
I think that's 5.
Yes. 5.
This is truly a libertarian stronghold at the moment.
Definitely. So that means that
Wait, I think
the Republicans...
Is it 4 or 5? I think it's 4.
No, didn't they have
I thought it was
3 previously?
They had 3 previously, and they've gained 2 seats.
And they kept, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it'd be 5. Never mind.
From the previous brilliant graphic done by Hull.
Right, they have battle. We'll be seeing a little later today if we're going to occur special election there, if he is elected to.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
So I think we now have, at the moment, we'll have 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. No, that can't be right. That's wrong. That's wrong, isn't it? How many Republicans do we currently have in the Senate then?
We only have
1.
One.
There's no Republican projected to win at this.
There's
second.
It's going to be, well, currently in the Senate, the Class 1 seats are 1 Republican, 3 Libertarians, 1 Socialist. And after this election,
I've got a graphic here.
2 Democrats are winning this election, 1 Socialist, and 2 Libertarians, I believe.
But yeah, I did find it interesting that all 3 incumbents that we were talking about at the start of the program have managed to win re-election. So we've not seen an upset win of any of the senators in question.
Just curious, does this mean that we will have a caucusing that is down to the vice president?
No.
No,
because we still have 1 Republican in. We have 5 Libertarians and 1 Republican.
Yeah,
we have Mark Smith.
I mean, it's all on the paper. It's clear, but then it's all about negotiations can happen, and Schlopp is the kind of person who can be both.
Yeah,
He was previously a member of both caucuses.
Who knows if Libertarians will flip and caucus with the left?
Here is my my bad overview.
And Mr. Quay earlier mentioned that in practice, caucus affiliation really isn't everything, that even members of opposing caucus can be persuaded to vote on legislation that another caucus favors. So we will see how it'll actually play out in the new session of the Senate.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't Smith voted more left than right in the past month? And he's technically caucusing with the right.
I wouldn't know the figures on that, but speaking to Smith privately, I do believe that he agrees with the left on a lot of issues.
I would concur with that. Like, you should probably ask a few people who've done some excellent spreadsheets on the issue of congressional votes, such as Party Leader Chan, who is fantastically talented with data. So just a shout out to her.
Yes, very, very, very talented member of our Congress. I think that now it's time for the final thing.
Drum roll, please.
Final thing, the thing that everybody has been waiting for.
Who will be next?
The drama, it rises.
So I think I will say it in a second. We do have 100% reporting, and someone has won, and that is a thing that has happened.
Exciting.
So I'm going to
commercial break.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have a 10-minute break now.
This
We're
will
gonna
be
go off. Gonna make a cup of tea. No, here we go, because I also need to go to sleep because I've got university tomorrow. I'm shattered. So, here we go. It is Lilburn. I congratulate you on your victory, Limey Lilburn, with 57.7% of the vote to Lucas's 42.3%.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Lilburn.
Mr. President-elect.
Mr. President-elect, congratulations.
Say for yourself, Mr. President-elect.
Well, I'm very happy. Thanks very much for everybody who for making this possible. Sorry, that's my housemate.
Congrats, Lilburn.
Indeed,
yeah,
congratulations.
Very happy.
You can now officially claim to have won by a bigger margin than I have. So kudos. I'm waiting for you to hold that for over me for the next 6 months.
Your housemate seems almost happier than you are.
Yeah. He's a very enthusiastic chap, is Jack. Yeah, no, I'm very happy. I mean, there's still a lot of work ahead, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody, including the Senate. But yeah, it's exciting thing. Exciting.
Get the Vice President Wonder. It's full. We have 10 people in here.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, also congratulations to the Vice President-elect, Mr. Wonder.
I'm now the second gentleman. So
I think I'm related to Wanda somehow.
Oh, somehow. Well,
I'm left out again because I am the perpetual bachelor.
Second the gentleman.
I'm just going to be the old uncle.
The old uncle. Oh,
yeah,
no.
the unmarried old gay uncle. That's me. We're at that point in life. I mean, I at least have a goose, so I eagerly await the Presidential Medal of Freedom for Smith the Goose. I mean,
right.
I'm still reeling from the fact that Wanda actually won an election.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. I don't know how he managed it. He never wins.
It's gonna be a big party tonight.
He can't win. I don't believe it. I think I can believe that Lilburn's.
The vote has been rigged in favour. No.
I think they got Lilburn's VP mixed up on the ticket.
I really cannot believe that.
It was actually me, but no. No. Much congratulations, of course, to Lilburn. And good luck in going in this term. Hope you don't have a mental breakdown. So.
Thanks very much. I'm sure. Sorry, that's just my housemate playing the USSR national anthem.
Yeah, naturally.
I mean, you're a socialist party member, so
you have to.
It
all checks out.
No,
it's all coming together at this point.
I am confident that I'll be able to see it through, and I should just say actually that none of this would have been possible without the campaigning team. And my campaign staff, who have all been absolutely brilliant. A special thanks to Layla, who did a lot of the work on the campaign ads, and I think did an absolutely brilliant job on those. And so, thank you very much to everybody who's got behind me, and I certainly hope that I won't let you down, and I'm confident that I won't.
Well,
Lilburn to let us down 2020.
I do hope.
hopefully this can be a socialist that serves out their entire term, unlike Rika, who was.
I will say is probably the first supporter of Lilburn running for president. Shout out to myself. I'm joking. But I mean, I did answer a poll in his favor 2 months ago, so I knew it. Ha! No, I'm kidding. All I really wish for is a successful term for Mr. Lilburn. That he looks after himself, because the presidential job is really hard.
Yeah, it is.
And that it all works out splendidly for everyone who's been elected this night.
Now the real question is, will a libertarian caucus with the left, or will all of the libertarians caucus with the right? And will the president have to work with a opposite Senate? That will only time will tell.
On the first question, I don't see all the libertarians caucusing with the left, right? You have like two of the libertarian senators, right? They're elected as Republicans, right? They switch to the libertarian. So I personally don't. I see the right carrying their majority, right? A 6-4 majority with 1 Republican, 5 libertarians, and we have 4 other members.
I mean, I'm tempted to say yes, but at the same time, 6-4, it really means you only need 1 to decide to caucus the other way, and all of a sudden you have a tie, and now we know that it's going to be Wanda breaking the tie. So, on paper, it's still a very moving situation, very difficult and very fluid situation. I probably won't be part of any discussion because I'm not in the Senate, of course, but I think it's going to be one of the most interesting rounds of caucus formation for a long time.
Yes.
As a former member of the Senate, there's a lot of drama there. We'll see.
Well, we will. I think we should all look forward to the joint session tonight with the electors certifying the official results of this election.
Is that happening tonight?
I believe it will be tonight. I am actually one of the tellers. I've been told that it will occur tonight. However, there is a chance that it will occur tomorrow. So, but we look forward to that and have the official election results certified in Congress.
Yeah, I think we just need to go through a quick rundown of our Senate seats. So, who are our 2 senators for D1 now?
Schlorp and Romero. I see a libertarian and a socialist senator in District 1.
No, District 2. Who have we got in District 2?
Layla and Mark.
So another socialist and libertarian district.
Mm-hmm. D3, I believe, is Jacob and the person who's just been elected, who is Lee. You'd hate that I've already forgotten.
Democrat and Republican.
The classic 2 parties.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 Republican, the current majority leader, and a former Republican and former Lee.
Former Speaker of the House.
Yep, former Speaker of the House for however long he was Speaker of the House. It wasn't very long.
D3 probably ends up with the most right-wing pair of senators of all the 5 districts overall.
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Just say interesting to see how it is going to turn out with the collaboration regarding the Senate.
We have 1 district. District 4 is the only district with 2 senators of the same party. That would be Senator Smith and Senator Antonio. So
yeah, I think this situation in D4, goes a long way in explaining why there's only 1 Republican senator at the moment in the Senate. For some reason, that D4 ends up with 2 Libertarian senators, despite having, if I recall correctly, more Republicans than Libertarians. So I think somewhere in the party deals there's been a missed opportunity for the GOP.
Potentially, but others have mentioned as well that some people have switched over to the Libertarian Party who were previously Republicans, so they might be seen as still relatively aligned.
It's 3-3 to the Republicans, right? In terms of the senators left.
I've updated my graph for the overview for you, so you can have a look at that.
Another beautiful graph.
Well, not a graph, but a diagram.
But then we have in District 5, Senator Morales and President Pro Tempore Battle, and only time will tell if Battle will remain as the President Pro Tempore of the Senate, or if he'll be replaced by someone new in this
Do you think
term.
Battle will step down before the end of his term?
But I recall hearing talks of that, but we'll see what happens.
Because if he steps down, that could lead to Republicans being in a very similar situation to that the Dems were in not very long ago, of having no one in the Senate at all, and actually having no control over any house, or whether that be the White House or the Senate House.
Well, the speaker election is yet to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very interesting though about after the speaker election, we will truly know if there's zero branches of government held by the Republicans.
Do you think that, as far as you know, are there any deals that have happened between the Libertarians and the Republicans regarding a deal? Because if so, it might already be. I mean, they all backed Broadman last time around. That could happen again. It's whether James is up to whether James wants the position.
James has told me that he's not seeking election as the speaker, right? But again, right, we have the speaker nomination system changed.
Yeah.
So now parties individually decide their nominee for speaker instead of having the leaders up for election.
Well, I think it would be interesting to see if the Democratic Party decides to re-nominate Mr. Graves, and if Speaker Graves can pull off another term as Speaker. And if he does, then the left will hold the White House and the House. And again, only time will tell what will happen with the Senate.
I think it would be interesting to see, especially regarding the speakership, as we have seen that Speaker Graves, if he were, of course, to be renominated by my party, that he has held a reasonably high approval rating. So he could be a strong contender going in for his re-election, if he were to, of course, go.
Then again, the House is a pure whipping battle because there's no registration. So
there's no registration.
Everything can happen.
And there's no simulated component in the speakership elections, so it would be totally a whipping game for whichever party. And I think in this call we have 3 Democrats and 3 socialists, and then President Ian, the Republican. So it'd be slightly biased, but as we've seen, if we have enough bias, it should cancel it out.
Really, the takeaway from GHN.
It's the takeaway from GHN. If you have enough bias, you won't have bias.
Yes.
Exactly.
It reaches critical mass of bias and then just explodes in impartiality everywhere.
Yes.
That's a even better tagline for GHN: exploding in impartiality everywhere.
So biased, it's impartial.
Yes, it's exploding.
Wonderful. I think this has been a wonderful election so far. Completely unbiased, of course. I'm not saying that at all. I think for any reason other than saying that it's been a fun election season. I think I enjoyed doing the debate the other day. That was quite fun. It was cut short, unfortunately, but it was fun to do whilst it was going.
Yes, it was a really good debate to listen to. I must actually admit that I have not listened to the vice presidential debate. Apologies to the candidates. But when I saw that there was a presidential debate, of course, I made some time. And I have to say at this point, a big thanks to GHN, and in particular, of course, Mr. Jebediah Hull for his incredible work during this election season. Anyone with half that schedule would realize that it was truly a breakneck operation. And I think after this, I wholeheartedly endorse Hull for a break and some sleep, because the services he's done for this server and the media have been invaluable and truly outstanding.
Yes, I would have to agree with that.
Yeah. I can agree with Hull for a sleep. That's something I can agree for. Yeah, it's been a stressful election season, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very interesting election season, as this was the first election season with the simulated component, and I think that definitely affected how some states did their campaigning this month, because although it was only 25% of the vote was made up by the simulated component, I think it definitely changed the feel of the election and how the election happened.
I think this has been, I mean, what you've got to remember is I've been on VC for, at this point, 10 months. It's 10 months tomorrow. Well, tomorrow for me. It's 10 months on the 11th. No, 12th. Sorry. 10 months on the 12th, and I've been here for 10 months. God.
Yeah, we're just ancient at this point.
Sorry, 13th. No, right. And this last month, I must say, has been the most stressful month of my career on here. Dealing with all of the stuff after the last speakership election, and then especially dealing with the stuff in the DNC and trying to get stuff done over there.
I have to agree. I think the only month in my time on the server that was more stressful was sort of the late March to I guess, or maybe the middle March to middle April period, where running for president second time, being a secretary, and then being president kind of unsuccessfully. That I would definitely agree that the past month has been very hard. Me now being the party chair.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, actually, we have all 3 Democrats in this call are members of the DNC, which is quite interesting.
The so-called establishment.
This totally, we're taking over. We hold all the power. No.
I was about to say there's a bigger DNC attendance in the GHN postcast than in the actual DNC.
Yes.
I mean, I must say, it is good though to really, even though it is hard and stressful. I think at least I can speak for myself. That nothing is greater than to see your hard work appreciated or it paying off in the game and in real life. So
I think
I'm looking forward to the next month.
Yeah.
Hopefully, after the selection season, we can finally focus on some out of election aspects of the game.
I'm just going to. I think we're going to wrap it up in just a second here and roll on to our next month. I just want to make a few quick announcements before we bugger off. First thing, we will be having a proper GHN podcast in the next few days. Probably not tomorrow. It'll probably be coming out on the 14th or 15th. Once we've got the next administration kicking off a bit and we've had some things happen, we're probably going to have a GHN podcast then. It'll be going back to its normal format. Hopefully Lucas will be there. It'll be me, Lucas, and then a number of guests that we'll bring on. If not, if Lucas isn't there, and I do hope he is there, because I have missed him doing this election season. If he isn't there, then we'll have I'll have to try and find a deputy co-host or something. GHN will also be moving into some other things. We're going to start releasing some news, some other stuff. I'm working on an article which will be released at some point.
GHN.
Pardon?
GHN for official news station? Perhaps?
because we'd have to pay them.
Oh, I'm on that board as well. Where
Yes, TCR.
we'd love for TCR to be bigger and better, but we're still a reasonably small independent business.
Yeah,
I've talked a bit about potentially going to some new avenues as our staff has substantially grown, but still we're at the moment don't see it as that viable.
Well, GHN,
to have to squeeze out 10k all the
GHN has
time.
no source of income at the moment, and I've been trying to ask people to message me if they want to, campaigners or members of campaigns to message me if they want to have a video advertisement on here, or maybe just a photograph advertisement for a few seconds during breaks and things like that. So that is still open. If you do want to give me your money for or give me and Lucas your money for advertising some of your stuff, you can drop me a message and I'll sort that out for you, and I'll sort out a price. Because at the moment we've got no money. Well, I mean, I've got money, but of course.
Personally, but not the business, yeah. I feel you on that front.
The contract that me and Lucas signed commits us both to hold £2,000 for the business. So that's it. We've got £4,000. The business is worth £4,000 at the moment.
I do have faith in you guys, though.
Just like one last thing before we conclude. The Electoral College verification will be occurring shortly. I'm just going to say that. So stay tuned on the floor of the House for the official results selection.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. We've dropped from our record numbers of 26 members of the call down now to our usual 9. So we are going to say goodbye. So from me, goodbye. This has been a mad few days, and I didn't really keep to the schedule too much. But a mad few days, I mean, who cares? So for me, it's bye-bye, and I think from all of the guests as well, it's bye-bye.
Yes. Thank you for hosting this, and thanks for everyone for watching. And good night.
Yes.
Thank you for watching. Also, thank you for
watching, everyone. We will see you again soon.
Many thanks. Yes.
Many thanks, and congratulations to everyone who won or lost. And if you lost, go and do it again next month, because I'm sure you'll do better if you join the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So it'll be
just join us. Join us.
The Socialist Party's welcoming members, so.
Right, now we really are showing our bias.
Yes.
Okay.
The partisan explosion is no more.
Anyway.
Thank you to all the guests. Thank you for everyone who's been listening. Thank you to all the candidates for running.
We will see you, of course, in just a few days. So, goodbye.
Well,